At the time I was a Green Party participant. So I was very, very focused on protecting the environment and had a bit of socialistic background. I'm not socialist in the means of the US, what the US is considering socialism, but I was thinking more like a liberal party with the focus on protecting the environment and distributing resources and work assignments and at least to a fair manner to the folks. I was volunteering for social service instead of military service. It kind of was personal belief. I mean, two things were these. I mean, first of all, I didn't see the point in going to the military as a draft, just for the time being, just to get the time over. And second of all, I thought it would be actually more suitable and more beneficially for the country if I would participate in a social service. Everybody was kind of the same. I mean, you surround yourself with people usually which are thinking like you, which is I think still pretty common. So you're always saying you look to your friends, you know who you are. And they all had a good education. I mean, everybody went to school, everybody went to university. Uh, some of them had the apprenticeship as a background. I mean, I mean, the Cold War. I think it's in retrospective, it sounds more thrilling than it really was. I mean, you have to look at it in perspective. I mean, it was a period of time where there was a very strange situation between the Eastern world and the Western world. I mean, there were incidents which triggered the Cold War. I mean, like this Cuba crisis. I mean, that goes way back there when everything went a little bit strange. But on the end of the day, people make a living, and it's kind of resolved. I was protesting against the US at this time. Street demonstrations, marching. The US was seen more aggressive then. You had the border anyhow from the eastern blocks to Europe, so this border was existing. So, but the bigger conflict, the bigger disagreement really was not necessarily between Europe and the Eastern Bloc. It was between between the Soviet Union way back then and the US. I mean, the big thing was when the Cold War was happening or was discussed. It appears to be that the idea was that behind the Iron Curtain it was the Soviet Union, and the battleground between East and West was Europe or Germany. At this point in time, I think everybody who was, let's say, a little bit younger was more like against the Iron Curtain and as well against the rocket shield, which was actually introduced by the US. So a lot of people were actually against the US. I think it was Ronald Reagan put in place. It was if he wanted to put a system in place that nuclear rockets actually shoot from the east, couldn't move forward to the continent of the US. So it means actually that this shield would actually drive the war activities into Europe. I didn't like him way back when. The Soviet Union was a known evil, let's say it like this, because it was weird. The dislike with the US was not necessarily because people don't like the US, it was just the action which was seen out of the US, which just kind of endanger the living condition in Europe would impact it. I mean, stationing of US troops and then Germany was always a topic. I mean, there was quite a big representation of the US Army. Okay, I mean, you had a lot of army in place in Europe or in Germany for the event, which was seen as a negative. Good thing was actually, I mean, with these guys located in Germany, they created a lot of work for people. So it was actually, besides the fact that political people don't like it, but it was a good cash flow of income. Yeah, the guy was a painted spot on his head. He had a big mark on his head. He probably was one of the first runner. Which really making it happening that the war did came down, that the relationships between East and West actually were more liberalized. See, it's one thing if you try to, it's one thing if you try to prevent people coming into a country, but the war actually was preventing people leaving the country, which is kind of a little bit odd. I think it was in Hamburg. Yeah. No, it kind of, I mean, we saw it over TV, so it was pretty nice. It was pretty good. It was at home, everybody was cheering it up, was cheering. And then the next thing you notice was that you see all these little cars running through the streets out of the East, and I think Germany wasn't really ready for this, you know. I mean, when the wall went down, I mean, it was nice, but it wasn't really, not necessarily in a very planned manner. So, I mean, things probably on the western side didn't change much, but everything gets more expensive. So money has to come from. I mean, all of a sudden, you see more people from different areas from Germany which speak a different accent. You see different cars coming, and the one thing which was kind of weird in retrospective was the prices for used cars skyrocketed. Since all of the used Western cars been bought by the Eastern people. So all of a sudden, for a period, you couldn't buy a used car. It was impossible to buy a used car.